mysterious mysteries of strange mystery.
If I could choose one phrase to describe the art direction of the Golden Idol games, it would be not YouTube thumbnail friendly. So, if you're unfamiliar with these games and you've decided to learn more, well done for taking the plunge into this uncomfortable, ugly art style. For those of you used to these character designs, you already know the ugliness is quite intentional and complements the other elements of the game perfectly. A game like Hades 2 has gorgeous characters with perfectly sculpted bodies because they're immortal gods. Peak has simple characters because they're meant to perform readable emotes from far distances. Animal Crossing has cute characters because the game is meant to be a comfy escape from an often brutal reality. Golden Idol games have ugly characters because the characters are ugly. They have ugly hearts, they have ugly ambitions, and justice is often served only after a lot of ugly things have happened. And beneath all this ugliness, there's a really compelling detective game, made all the more memorable by these unorthodox designs. I was able to sit down with the man behind these characters and scenarios, Ernests Kļaviņš.
My education is actually in painting, of all things. Art for the games was a bit divisive. Some people kind of love-hated it because these characters are intentionally ugly, that some people find it off-putting, but yeah, what I try to achieve to make them immediately recognizable. As for the inspiration, for the first game, it's Hogarth, British 18th century painter that painted satirical everyday life. Then there is Gustave Doré. I think most people don't know his name, but most people have seen his work. He illustrated Don Quixote, he illustrated Gargantua and Pantagruel, and he also has this striking, grotesque style. Yeah, he's 19th century French illustrator and painter. For the first game we chose the pixel art, and it was my call, and probably wrong call, because pixel art actually is not easy. Pixel art is very finicky, there are rules that you need to follow, there is problem with scaling. That's why we switched to this painterly style, which is more natural to me, and also it lends itself better for animation or scaling and stuff like that. We used the program called Spine 2D. Since it's like skeletal mesh deforms, it's also like less time consuming to create animations, and that's why it becomes more and more animated in the DLCs and in the sequel. Idol was made in 3D, then rendered, and then there was some filters applied, so that's why it looks a bit from the different world. But overall, case art style is not super consistent. My problem with art is that I fluctuate a lot. I always like drift stylistically. As we developed the game, there was also like searching for new methods how to animate stuff, how to draw stuff. From the storytelling point of view, Idol, on the one hand, you wanted some fantastical element to not make story absolutely mundane. On the other hand, once we introduced Idol, we need to make very strict rules for it, because if you have magical artifact in detective game, there is always a risk that anything can happen now. You can explain everything with Idol did it. Well, I think like 10% of the development to inventing Idol and 90% of the time to try to constrain it.
As a writer, putting together a compelling mystery is already challenging.
She's no angel. She's a fraud!
Congratulations, you cracked the case.
Putting together a compelling mystery game is even harder. Players have to actually solve the case instead of enjoying the story passively, so you have to ride a fine line between clear-cut and obtuse. And forget about difficulty, how can you actually make a game out of it? I mean, at its core, a mystery game is just proving you understand what happened.
The main problem is like, how the player conveys knowledge. In her story, for example, player doesn't convey it at all. Everything like starts and ends in player's head. LA Noir, your character actually does the work.
LAPD.
What we wanted is that the player does the work, not the character. That's why there is actually no protagonist in game. We ended up with this scroll text, which of course is not perfect, it's very dependent on grammar, but upside was that it's very flexible. Sentences that are very simple and very predetermined, like sentence constructed, like someone is speared by a terrible beast. You can tell very simple events that someone is killed, but if you want to tell about motive, important details of the case, these custom sentences actually work best.
I think what gives the Golden Idol games their own identity is a consistent willingness to break away from any one template. It's not just X killed Y with a Z. It's who sat where and ate what. It's deciphering ancient languages and treasure maps. It's determining the pecking order of a cult or the sentencing of a court. It's finding out who won a cosplay contest or a variety show. You're not just changing up locations or scenarios. You're changing how you prove comprehension, and that keeps the game feeling fresh.
Design-wise, of course, one of the challenges was to make them varied, because it's very easy to fall in this self-repeating cycle. And that's where our content creators came in. Because content creation was a big problem for us. One scenario of Golden Idol takes at least months to devise from concept phase to finish. We made some open call for CVs, and we looked at someone who already done something in either detective genre or in a game. So, for example, Will Ackerman, one of the content creators who is very talented, he created Signal and Echo, which I played and I liked, and I see, oh, okay, he clearly can write the games. Bill Sutherland and Denny from the Australia, they made like podcast where you kind of role play the detective story. And one of them is like detective, but other is like sort of dungeon master, and you need to solve in real time in podcast. And they made a lot of these podcasts, so yeah, they clearly are capable of making this detective content. Nathan and Marcus from Utah, they also made a podcast with the same premise. For DLC, we actually gave our content creators like creative lead, and it was, I think, was a good call, because by delegating creative lead, we tried to tell different stories, also existing mechanics, but a new approach. For example, I like Will Ackerman designed the scroll text where you see nothing at the start. There is no words at all, only slot. So yeah, this makes, of course, the development harder, but also, I think, more rewarding, and I'm happy to hear that you noticed this.
A huge thank you to Ernest for sharing a bit about how these games came to be. You can support more developer interviews like this by liking and subscribing. I'd also love to hear your thoughts on the Golden Idol games and what your favorite case is.
Who are you? Get out of my house!
You can watch the full interview with Ernest on the Tin Sensei Patreon, along with other behind-the-scenes videos and interviews. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
If we talk about the previous project, the one that I would like to mention is an RPG named Space Wreck. I think it's a good game, but it wasn't very successful, and besides, like, making RPGs is madness. You work for 5 years, and it's almost impossible for it to be commercial success, but I would say it was artistic success.